Say hi. Hi. Oh, hi. Hello and welcome to the Pursuit of Motherhood. I'm Hannah and this is my son Joseph. Welcome again. I wanted it to include Joseph for more of that introduction, but of course he is very busy, and as soon as I got about halfway through, he hops down and wants to go play. So I thought, well, I'll wait till nap time and I will refilm. So welcome to Pursuit of Motherhood. This video is about my experience breastfeeding. I'm sharing because for so many women, this part of motherhood is such a struggle. It was for me, and I want you to know that if that's you, you're not alone. This video is for you. I wanted to share the hope that I found through my struggle, and also share the resources and the things that I tried to help as much as they possibly could. I tried a lot of different things. I did a lot of different research. Hopefully some of it will help you. I will link all kinds of videos and resources and ideas for you below. Websites, things that I think that have helped other people and may help you. So check that out. I've tried to include as much as I possibly could. I saved a lot because I kept good notes of everything that I was trying. Speaking of notes, I am going off of my notes so I don't forget anything. I don't want to leave anything out that could be important to you in your journey. So bear with me as I look down a lot. So my story begins with a traumatic birth. Joseph is my first child. Love him to death. And when I was pregnant with him, I had concerns of preeclampsia because of hypertension. I found out later on that that's kind of common in first pregnancies. I don't know how common. I haven't done that research. But because of the concerns, my doctor asked me to come in for an early induced labor. And so the labor took a long time, 32 hours total, including the afterwards with the placenta when it wouldn't come out. Long story with that. And because of the placenta not coming out after the birth, I didn't get to feed Joseph right away. So right off the bat, we had some struggles because his blood sugar went down, and I'm sure with all the trauma of the birth that he was needing some blood sugar, something. So we decided to supplement right away with formula, and I think partly because of that, with the adjusting right away to the bottle, and also partly due to a natural tongue tie and a high palate, he just really struggled to latch. It was hard right off the bat, and his blood sugar didn't go up for a while. So even after we got back from the hospital, he was still struggling with his latch. I had talked to the lactation consultant there, and we did the best we could, but we were still supplementing. We did breastfeed 30 minutes each side for every 2 hours, which meant that like every hour basically I was breastfeeding every other hour. And Joseph still wasn't getting enough. I was underproducing. He was screaming, and another element of that was just stress. He was our first, and he's a surprise, which was wonderful, but also it made it hard because I wasn't prepared with a job that I could stay at home with him, and I only had so much to stay saved up that I could stay home. And so in the meantime of all this craziness of breastfeeding, I was trying to build a business so that I could stay home with him. And that was stressful. I developed nipple blisters about 2 weeks in, I think, and had these white pustules all over the areola and all over the nipple. And I found some videos that talked about how to get rid of that, so I've linked that below. It took 3 days to get rid of, and then it was gone, and we were able to start up. But as if you've done any research on breastfeeding, you know that a lot of what your body does to recognize like how much milk it needs to produce is based on like how often the baby comes to the breast. Well, I couldn't do any of that for those 3 days. I couldn't pump. I couldn't nurse. It was just too painful. I was in agony, honestly, but it was just terrible. So another element of that was that because of his latch was imperfect, that was what was causing the nipple blisters. And so I went to the lactation consultant, and one of the first things that really helped was she recommended a nipple shield, which is basically this piece of plastic. Oh, I should have pulled it out, but this piece of plastic that is in the shape of a nipple, and you just set it over your nipple, over your areola area. That's hard to say. And the baby can get a better latch on that. And then it prevents nipple blisters and painful latch. And that was like a lifesaver for a while. That really, really helped. And so she did recommend more pumping. And she said, oh my goodness, 30 minutes on each side is too long. We're going to cut that time in half, which was also a blessing. So if you're nursing a really long time, you might consider talking to a lactation consultant about whether that's good for you or not, and the baby as well. Because one of the things I learned is that sometimes babies just nurse for comfort. And I mean, in my case, he wasn't getting enough. So that's why I was nursing for so long. But I think it also encouraged him to just come to the breast for comfort and not really work hard at getting that milk. So anyway, the pumping really didn't work, unfortunately. And the problem just continued to get worse. Joseph was getting skinny, and even with all the research I did on positions and latch and working with the lactation consultant for many meetings, it just, nothing seemed to be working. So I tried supplements. Let's see, I got some mother's milk tea. It's also called raspberry tea if you get it through some other like natural resource websites. I'll see if I can find some. I found some through the Urban Tea House of Oklahoma City. My sister actually bought it for me, so I say I found it. I didn't find it. She found it. So I'll link some of that for sure below. Flaxseed is supposed to help. Brewer's yeast. Oatmeal is really good. You can make oatmeal cookies, which are delicious. Lactation cookies, that's oatmeal cookies. Avoid caffeine. That was one thing that I did. And then my lactation consultant recommended Moringa, which is a supplement that you can buy online. I think I also found it in a store in Oklahoma City, like health food store. I don't know if Aikens are a nationwide or worldwide chain, but I'll link it both for that store and then online as well. So even with all of those things that I tried, avoiding the caffeine, doing the supplements and doing the health foods and all that, like things just didn't seem to get better. I tried and tried for weeks and weeks, months actually, and the problem just kept getting worse. I think part of it was that we weren't sleeping well. Joseph was up all hours of the night, and I was just kind of slowly losing my mind. So I was telling a friend about it, and I was like, this is just crazy, and the latch has not improved, and he's just not getting enough, and I'm not producing enough. And so she told me about a chiropractor that can work on babies and moms, and but that she had gone and her daughter's latch had improved after the first appointment, just like crazy fast. And the change was just amazing. And she went from underproducing to the baby getting just exactly enough. And so I kind of hesitantly thought about it. The lactation consultant affirmed that idea. She gave me an idea of one, but I really wanted to go to the one that my friend recommended, because I had seen some videos online, and it scared me because the one that I saw, and maybe if you Google it, I'm not going to link it below, the chiropractor does this adjustment and you hear the pop and the baby kind of like that, and you just kind of, oh, like I did not want to do that. So I was praying and praying and praying, and I felt like God said, go ahead, you can do it. And so I was like, okay, Lord, I'm going to trust you with this. So I went to the chiropractor, and he was so incredibly gentle. He didn't do any of the popping or anything like that. It was just a very gentle nudging. In fact, he kind of let Joseph lay against him. He would push, and then Joseph would push kind of against his hands, and then he would just very, very gently use his thumbs to do an adjustment, and it was amazing. I had no idea chiropractors could work on babies like that. And so one of the benefits that we've gotten from that is he said that, or the chiropractor said that some kids who have gone early on in their lifetime to chiropractors don't get sick as often. And I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to homeopathic medicine and chiropractors and all that. So I was kind of like, I'm not sure. But really, so far that's been the case. I don't know if that's just because Joseph has a strong immune system, or and that he's just a healthy kid, or if it does have to do something with the chiropractic treatments. So comment down below what you think about that, because my research kind of goes both ways, that some of it can be, some of the claims of chiropractors are kind of, I don't know. But then other research has said, no, like this is making a lot of sense, because if things are in alignment, you know, your brain is able to send signals to the places that that it needs to, and in better and faster ways. And so anyway, see what you think about that. All that to say, after a while, it just became apparent that even with the chiropractic treatments, the lactation consulting, the supplements and the health foods and pumping and all of those things, the latch correction, all of those things together, none of it really helped. And Joseph was just really screaming all day and all night. I mean, he had periods of rest where he would go to sleep and be happy for 20, 30 minutes maybe, sometimes. But then when he would scream, it just felt like that was the only thing that ever happened. And I just started to lose my mind, really. I just couldn't take it anymore. If you've ever been in that situation where you're caring for someone who needs you all the time and you don't get the chance to really rest, and they scream at you or they tear you down. It could be elderly, it could be babies, it could be somebody that's really needy. I don't know, but it just really wears you down, and you start to lose some of your self-control just naturally. And I think that God can really help you through that. But I got to a point that even with praying and all of that, like, I lost it. Joseph screamed at me and I screamed back at him. And then I realized what I had done, because he just started bawling. And I looked down at him, and my little boy was needing food and he was not getting what he needed. And something broke, because all my life I have wanted to be a mom, and I have wanted to have a similar experience to my own mom, who had a lovely experience with breastfeeding. For her, it was not painful. It was beautiful and a wonderful connection. And I just was brokenhearted for that, but I had to let that go. And so it was kind of a death of a vision, which was really hard for me, because this, like I said, this is all I've ever wanted in my life, besides like serving God. Obviously, I've always wanted to serve God, but this is what he placed in my heart, is to be a mom. And so to have that loss was hard. And I also wanted Joseph to have the perfect nutrition of breastfeeding, and to have all the immunity and all the blessings that come with breast milk. I had been determined that no matter what, no matter all the struggles, all the pain, that I was going to go for a whole year. But I prayed about it after that moment of screaming at Joseph, and for 3 days was just like praying and praying and praying to the Lord. And I was just brokenhearted and not knowing where to go with it. And I just felt like him say to me, Hannah, it's okay for you to give him formula, and you can stop now. You've done your best. You know that there's nothing left for you to try. You've tried everything that you possibly could, everything that you know of. It's okay to give up and to be blessed by this other option. And I was so struck by that, because I began to see formula as a blessing and not a curse. In the past, I had kind of seen formula as like the enemy of breastfeeding. Like, it was developed, partly I think it was because of my knowledge of history. It was developed during a time where, like right after World War II, where moms were going to work and they were needing another option to feed their babies. And even doctors were telling, this is firsthand knowledge actually, because, well, I say firsthand, secondhand, because my grandma was told by her doctor not to nurse my mom, that she should stop drinking water, of all things. Like, you would never think a doctor would tell a mother that, but stop drinking so much water so that her milk would dry up. This is all beside the point. I'm sorry, sometimes I ramble. But stop drinking so much water so that she would dry up, and go ahead and feed my mom the perfect nutrition, which it was formula. Now, if you can breastfeed, that's wonderful, because it's better nutrition for your baby. But honestly, I had had kind of a judgmental feeling in my heart towards formula, and I think that may have been part of the reason God allowed me to go through this, is because He's molding me and making me into more of His own image, and that judgmental part of me had to go. So that's humbling, and it's humbling to admit, but I did decide to go with what God had provided for me. It's amazing that for moms like us that struggle with that there's another option. That's not always been historically true. And I think maybe that's why there might have been nursemaids in the past, people that could nurse other ladies' babies. And I didn't really realize that until I went through this. So anyway, I missed a part. One of my good friends from church called me because my mom remembered her talking about her struggle with breastfeeding. And I just wanted to comment that, Claire, if you're watching, that was a huge turning point for me in my journey. Like, that really meant so much to me, to have you talk this through with me and help me to recognize that I don't even know where to go with it. There's so many things like going through my mind that were such a blessing from that conversation. So for you viewers, if you have a chance to talk with a friend who understands, I got the chance to talk with my mom, with Claire, with Crystal, even with friends who were doing well with breastfeeding. Talking with all these different ladies who have different perspectives can be really, really helpful. So anyway, I don't want to drag on forever with the video, because I know that for moms who are busy and moms who are this is my tired mom brain not being able to talk, but for moms who are busy, like, shorter videos are necessary. So what I just discovered through all of this was that there was hope. God was providing for every step of the way. One of the things that happened was, obviously, besides God providing formula as an option, was that I got a job 3 months in, right after I had quit nursing Joseph. I decided that the business that I was building up was something that needed to be done slowly over time, because there was just too much to it. And so I got a part-time job, and I don't know that I would have been able to do that if I had still been breastfeeding, and that would have been really stressful, because that was just about the same time as the money that I had saved up ran out. So, you know, God has a plan, and we don't really have to stress as much as we do over these things. And I say that understanding that stress just kind of comes with the territory of being a mom. But if we trust in God, some of that can be relieved. So God provided financially. Also, another way that he provided financially was that the formula, even though it was so expensive, we were able to get all kinds of coupons for that. And then, let's see, I guess it was about 4 months in, I discovered Aldi formula. So if you have an Aldi near you, Aldi's formula, the sensitive version, is the same ingredients as Similac Pro Sensitive, but it's half the price. And with Joseph drinking, he was doing catch-up time. So with Joseph drinking like 8 bottles a day of 9 ounces, and going through 2 containers full of formula, we really needed that. And so if you've got an Aldi in your area, you should definitely check it out if you're going to do formula, because that saved us so much money. So I just want to say, like, in all of this, Jesus is our hope. He was my hope when I just had to keep coming to him and say, God, like, Jesus, I don't know what to do here. I am just really struggling. And in those moments where I was really low and I just cried, and I didn't even have words. He hears that, and he knows you, and he knows your struggle, and he can provide peace and comfort. And so I just want to say, I don't know why God allows so many moms to struggle with this, but I know that he can give you peace and comfort through your struggle. And also that there's no shame at all in doing what you need to do for your baby. If you need to go to work and you need to do formula for your baby, that's acceptable. God understands. If you have the option to stay home and nurse your baby all day, that is amazing. God understands that, and he knows your sacrifice of either way, going to work or staying home and, like, basically being nurturing through your body all day. Both of those are sacrifices. And I just want to say, God is providing. Philippians 4:19 is a good verse for that. I believe it goes something like, my God will provide for all of your needs according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. I'm just blessed to remember that, because sometimes in life we start to think, oh my gosh, like, I need to take care of this, I need to take care of this, and it starts to feel like there are all these things kind of coming down on us that we need to take care of. But if we recognize that God is our Heavenly Father and he's taking care of us, he's providing for our needs, then we can be less stressed. I mean, we still have to do our part. We still have to walk with him and take the steps, because obviously he's not going to step for us. We have our free will. But he is directing our steps. And my favorite verse is actually, I will direct, let's see, Psalms 32:8. I will instruct and teach you in the way that you should go. I will guide you with my eye upon you. So just seek the Lord, seek his direction for you. And if you don't know the Lord and you want to, it's so easy to come to know him. It does require giving up yourself and making him Lord of your life, which means that your life is no longer your own. It's you've given it back to him because he gave it to you in the first place. But all it takes to come to know him is to say, Lord, I believe that you died on the cross for my sins, and that you raised from the dead, and that you have plans for my life. I submit my life to you. Romans 10:19 says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. If you're in that place, I also, kind of like earlier I said, consider talking to a friend about your breastfeeding. If you're not a believer and you want to be, talk with a friend about it. Somebody that is already a believer. And if you don't have a friend who's a believer, you're welcome to email me, and I'll either chat with you myself or set you up with somebody who can chat with you about that. There's all kinds of people who would love to talk with you. So anyway, we're at just about 31 minutes now, so I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I hope that it encouraged you and helped you. I hope that some of the ideas from my journey have helped you. Don't forget that I've linked all kinds of things down below for your benefit. I hope that you subscribe. I'm going to be making less intense videos in the future. Videos primarily about motherhood and toddlerhood, because that's where that little boy is at, little Joseph. And so I hope that they are a blessing to you. And I just want to pray for you real quick. Lord, I thank you so much for every one of the people who are going to watch this video. You know the reasons that they're here. I ask for you to encourage them and bless them in the place where they are, Lord, that they would come to know you in a deeper way, and that they would be blessed by the content and the resources of this video. And we thank you for your son, Jesus. In your name, amen. Love you guys. Bye.